Most software charges you whether you use it or not. This one, however, only gets paid when it actually solves your problem. Let's get into what Sierra actually does and why that pricing idea matters. So Sierra builds AI agents for customer service. Don't get me wrong, it is not a chatbot bolted onto a help page. Instead, it is something meant to actually do the job, which is log you in, pull your account, process a refund, walk you through a return over chat, voice, or email in one conversation, instead of restarting every time you switch channels. It was founded in 2023 by Brett Taylor and Clay Bauer, both with long backgrounds at Google, Facebook, and Salesforce before this. Okay, let's get into the core product. So the core layer is called AgentOS, and the important bit is what is plugged in. Native integrations with Salesforce, ServiceNow, and Zendesk, plus custom connectors into order management and billing systems beyond that. That's what lets the agent actually do things instead of just describing what you should do, authenticate you, pull the real account record, issue the real refund, all with policy rules and an audit trail enforced the whole way through. On top of that sits a handful of distinct pieces. Agent Studio is the no-code builder. A company's own team configures and adjusts an agent without needing engineers for every small change. Ghostwriter, released just this March, is an agent that builds other agents. Describe what you want in plain language and it assembles a working one. The agent data platform gives an agent persistent memory across someone's entire history with a company. So instead of solving one problem and forgetting you, it can proactively recommend something next time based on what it already knows. SiriusXM's agent, which they've named Harmony, was the first to get this specifically, so it could shift from one-off fixes to something closer to an ongoing relationship. There's also something called Horizon, built for longer running work, like following up on an outbound or inbound thread over days or weeks, instead of finishing it in one sitting, which, let's face it, isn't very realistic. All this is done with a context engine that's meant to make each interaction built on the last one, rather than starting cold every time, like most other AI agents. And Insights is the analytics layer sitting over all of it, showing what's actually getting resolved and where. All of this runs across more than 30 languages, and it's built to hand off to a human cleanly when it's not confident. Let's talk about where this gets used by industry, because customer service AI really undersells it. Sierra shows up differently depending on the business. So in media and subscriptions, SiriusXM's Harmony handles subscription changes, billing questions, and content recommendations across 34 million subscribers. In home security, ADT runs it across roughly 2 million inquiries a month, including billing, service questions, and qualifying a lead before a technician ever gets scheduled. In consumer electronics, Sonos uses it for setup and troubleshooting across 15 million customers. This is the kind of multi-step technical walkthrough that used to require a real support call. In health and wellness, Weight Watchers has it handling close to roughly 70% of customer sessions, more coaching adjacent engagement than a typical support ticket. In streaming, Tubi is reporting a 90% resolution rate on viewer support questions. And it shows up in more sensitive categories too, surprisingly, like healthcare systems like Cigna and Sutter Health. Financial services companies like Rocket Mortgage, Nubank, Chime, Ramp, and Brex. Retail names like Nordstrom and Wayfair. And even Discord and Rivian outside the more obvious retail and telecom categories. The pattern emerging across all of it is that anywhere a customer conversation involves looking something up, changing an account, or walking through a multi-step process, this is the kind of shape of problem it's built for. Not just a single FAQ answer, but an actual multi-turn interaction. That is what Sierra is built for. Now, talking about the pricing model of this tool, which is very interesting. Sierra doesn't sell seats or charge per message. You pay per successful outcome, a resolved case, a safe cancellation, an upsell, whatever is defined as valuable in the specific contract. Reportedly somewhere around $1 to $2.50 per resolution, though Sierra's never confirmed an exact number publicly, to be honest. If something escalates to a human instead of getting resolved, that's typically not billed at all. It's supposed to work on the AI tool. The logic holds up on its own terms. Sierra only makes money when their tool actually works, which is a different incentive than a normal software vendor getting paid the same whether the product sits unused or gets hammered all day. However, this unique pricing strategy does end up creating some friction because there's no public pricing page anywhere. And first year costs, according to the buyer reviews, commonly land in the $200,000 range to the 350K plus range once setup fees are included. And because billing tracks resolution volume, a spike in customer contacts can produce a genuinely unpredictable invoice. An aligned incentive model still leaves the buyer with real trouble forecasting a budget. Anyway, moving on. Here you can see the products we briefly talked about in a more visual manner rather than you just hearing about it from me. Ghostwriter and Explorer for analytics and recommendations. None of what I've talked about works at the scale these companies operate at without a serious trust layer underneath. Sierra holds FedRAMP High certification, which is the bar the US government itself uses for the most sensitive systems. And every action the agent takes runs through the same policy and permission rules a company already has. It's not a separate looser set of AI specific rules. That is actually part of why more surprising companies like in the healthcare and financial sector are willing to put this in front of real customers instead of keeping it to internal lower stakes work. Sierra got very big very fast. It achieved about $1 billion in 2023, 4.5 by late 2024, 10 billion by September 2025, and 15.8 this May. The total raise sits around 1.6 billion, and the revenue has reportedly gone from around 130 million to 200 in annual recurring revenue just in the last few months. Something like 40% of the Fortune 50 are customers in some form. The real value Sierra is selling isn't just the technology, but it's a working, tested platform already built, real integrations already done, and a pricing model already proven with dozens of large enterprises. And enough of a head start that most companies would rather buy it than spend a year building an equivalent themselves. So, to put an end to my monologue, Sierra is a platform, not a single chatbot. Real backend integrations so it can act, not just answer. A no-code builder and an agent that builds agents so non-engineers can configure it. Persistent memory and long horizon follow-up so it doesn't treat every conversation as the first one. And government-grade security so regulated industries can actually deploy it. Speaking of industries, it's used across a wide range of them: media, security, electronics, healthcare, finance, retail, anywhere a customer conversation involves looking something up or changing something, not only answering a static question. And the business model wrapped around all of that is arguably as interesting as the product itself, charging per resolved outcome instead of per seat, which lines up with what the company gets paid with. This fascinating combination of a real technical adaptive platform, a wide set of applied use cases, and a completely different way of selling the product is the USP of Sierra.